What we knew is gone. Our home, our lives, all that we were, dust. Blasted across empty, heartless skies. But we live. Our legacy lives within every ship we fly, upon every world we touch, in our hearts, in yours. There will be challenge. You will know fear, but you will overcome. You will survive and answer vengeance with blood. You will do as you must. Rule cannot be handed to the faithless. Our legacy cannot be lost to villains. Bury the past to face the future. In enemies, find allies. There is no price we have not paid, no loss we have not felt. Our dead world, our long suffering, these are not ends. We are not ended. For your crew, for your people, for this new home, we must face all doubt. We must break the strong who would destroy us and overcome the impossible. We must fight against any and all. We must, we will, for we are Romulan!
I am the ever-grateful columnist for Star Trek Online from massively.com. How is everyone doing today? Are you excited to hear from the guests from Star Trek Online? Excellent. I want to take a real quick poll from people here. How many of you have heard of Star Trek Online? Oh, good. So we have some regular players here. Is there anybody here who has not heard of Star Trek Online?
I did this last year, but it's still fun.
And is there anybody here who does not even know what an MMORPG is? No, it's a pretty good game. Very good hands. Okay, we'll take care of you. Well, let me do some introductions here and get you to know some of the developers from Cryptic Studios and the Star Trek Online team. Starting out today is one of the UI interface artists. We all know him as Thomas Cryptic Cat, Thomas Moreno. Next is our ever-ready community manager, Mr. Brandon Belcher. One of the most important people that you guys have heard, he's also notorious for having everlasting podcasts. His name is Mr. Al Rivera, he's the lead designer. And last but of course not least is the guy in charge, right? Everybody needs an executive producer. Executive producer of Star Trek Online, Mr. Daniel Stahl. As you can see, we've got some slides showing up in the back, some of the artwork that you might be able to see if you play Star Trek Online. And we think it'll still light here so you can see that's beautiful pieces, that would be great. And it could also be nice to see some questions. Well, I did a poll, and as you can see, pretty much everybody in the room already plays the game, knows the game, so we're not going to be jumping in too much about the descriptions of what an MMO is. But let's let Dan take the first question, and I want you to tell them a little bit about just the general idea of what Star Trek Online is.
Star Trek Online, well, hello everybody, it's nice to be here. Star Trek Online is a massively multiplayer game. Most of you may have heard of MMOs as usually fantasy games like World of Warcraft or Lord of the Rings Online. Star Trek Online is really a living, breathing galaxy of individual players who are all living out their careers as starship captains. So whether you're part of the Federation or the Klingon Empire or now the Romulan Republic, that's right. So as one of those three factions, you can now play as a captain, and basically it's a PC game. You download it from entirely for free. So you can go up to StarTrekOnline.com and you can download the client and begin playing immediately. And you can get all the way to max level, which is kind of like a role-playing game where you do missions and you gain levels. So that's really kind of the gist of what Star Trek Online is, and it's a kind of a labor of love for all of us, and we're happy that you're enjoying it for those that are playing. Cheers.
Al, this question is for you. Can you help explain to players who may not know about this, but what the heck is free play?
This isn't on.
Yeah, press that.
Turn.
There you go.
All right, that's better. What's the question? What is free to play?
What is free to play, and what's that purpose that there's some people who've been walking around the vendors and talking, and they just don't believe that the game's actually free.
Yeah, there are a lot of misconceptions of what free-to-play means. You can play Star Trek Online, all the content, absolutely for free. There's no pay barriers to play Star Trek Online. You download the client, it's free. You don't have to buy the client. You get in, you get access to most of all the races, and there's dozens and dozens of races and species to play on all the different factions. You can play all the content, all the missions. You can play. There's no restrictions on who you get to play with. What you can do is you can purchase certain starships. If there's certain starships that you like to play that you can purchase, and there's other convenience charges. But you can play all the content and win all the content just fine, absolutely for free. And we encourage you to just keep playing as much as you'd like. We love it. So. Yeah, it's free.
Brandon, this question is going to go to you. It's kind of a basic question. I want you to kind of touch upon the differences between membership levels if you do choose to play, and why would somebody want to subscribe to the game?
Yeah. Whoa. Hi, everyone, by the way. Yeah, so like Al was saying, completely free, but we do offer special benefits for our veterans, some really cool starships and costumes and things, so definitely look at our website, you can find out. But the best part about it, I know coming to the convention for the last, I think this is my 5th year in a row, and when STO was first in development, no one really heard about it. Then the next year it had launched. I was like, oh yeah, I played it, but I can't really see myself subscribing to it. And then it was free to play, and more people knew about it, and now coming here, a lot of people play it, so it's awesome to see you guys here in the crowd today. But you can get all that information on our site. Also, we're going to be in the vendors room, so come ask us questions about it.
I kind of like to just sum up that, what we've been talking about free to play. It's a lot like the NFL, right, or football. You can watch the NFL from your home on a television. All you have to do is pay your cable subscription in order to do that. So you just have to have an online subscription through Comcast or whatever. But there's different levels. And what we're talking about is the fact that there's some fans that want to have season tickets, and they want to be on the front row, and they want to buy the jerseys, and they want to make the Oakland Raiders a deal. And those people can do that, but not everyone is required to do that. You can be a fan of football for just the convenience of your home for free. And that's kind of the way Star Trek Online works. You can essentially participate and enjoy everything there is in the game, and your level of fandom and how much you want to invest in the game really should be based on how much you're enjoying it. And that's how we make money as a business. But really, 80–90% of people playing Star Trek Online never pay anything, and that's totally fine with us. Thank you.
Well,
What's football? Is that a sport or something?
I watch guys on ice with sticks, so I don't know about the football thing. Okay, this question is going to go to each one of you, and just real generally. Earlier this year, Star Trek Online had its very first expansion, The Legacy of Romulus. It changed the game forever and how we play it. Not only did the Klingon faction could be fleshed out, and we now get to play the Klingons from level 1 through 50. We now have the ability to play as a Romulan character and even a Freeman, and the new content that just came out is spectacular. I want to ask each one of you, what was the hardest thing that each one of you had to work on? What was your biggest challenge? And what was your most rewarding challenge of working on Legacy of Romulus?
Thomas, you want to go first?
Yeah.
You probably worked the most.
Right here. I'll just keep it on.
Well, for me, I'm the user interface artist, so I handle all of the icons and the way the windows look and things like that. So with Legacy of Romulus, go into it, but the sheer volume of work that I had to do to not only add a new UI with the Romulans, but also we decided that the game's UI had been around for a few years, it was getting pretty stale and kind of old, and it also wasn't very Star Trek, right? So not only were we adding a new UI for Romulans, we were also completely redoing the Federation and Klingon UIs as well. So the sheer volume of getting all that done was an incredible challenge, and I'm extremely proud of the fact that I was able to do it. And I think originally, when we were scoping that out, I thought I would have another UI artist to help me, but he got pulled off to work on Gateway and Neverwinter, so I had to shoulder the burden, but I think it was worth it.
And it's incredible. Gosh, I think the most difficult thing for me, or most challenging, but so much fun to do, was all the blogs. All the dev blogs going up, working with the team to get them published. Yeah, and some twice a day. So there was a lot of information to get out. It was our biggest expansion. So I had the opportunity to take most of the screenshots. So that was really fun to be able to go in there and see it for myself for the first time, and then be able to give it out to you guys. So that was fun.
What about you?
For me, I'll have to say that they're both the same. The biggest challenge and the most rewarding was the story. We had never taken on so much story before for Star Trek Online. So much intensity of the drama and the content, the cutscenes and the missions and the flow, and then weaving that into existing content, a little retconning and just trying to capture drama. We had to sell a story where the Romulan, what did it mean to be a Romulan Republic survivor? There are, all in all, not that many episodes of Romulans in Star Trek, far more of Klingons. But there's not as many as Romulan content. Plus, we weren't really doing the Tal Shiar, we weren't doing the Romulan Empire, we're doing the citizens, the survivors, the guys you saw in Unification. And what it was like for them after the disaster of the Hopus Star, and trying to make a reasonable story how they could reach out to the Federation and the Klingons and have people buy that story. And as we're building the story, we had entire arcs that we just said, this is just not working, this is wrong, and we had to completely redo some arcs. So that was really challenging, but I'm really proud of it. I mean, we spent hours. I can remember Dan and Christine and I and Scott Shishkoff, I can't even say his name, Shikoff, and Christine Thompson, our lead writer, sitting in a conference room like day after day, like 4 hours a day, just looking at bullet points and saying, what is this, what's this, and so that was challenging. We really hadn't done that before. I'm really proud of what we did, and we're just going to continue to keep doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the story I think turned out really good. I think one of the biggest challenges I think the entire team had is not talking about it. Because we worked on it for so long that it was very difficult to, even last year when we were here, kind of hold our tongues about what we were working on, because these expansions can be so big and it's such a huge undertaking that not being able to tell the public what exactly we were doing and where all the development hours were going. And even now, as kind of a hint, I mean, we're not even talking about all the things that we're working on right now either. And so that's always a challenge, because we know where the game's going, but you don't always know where the game's going. And we try to be as transparent as possible, but sometimes we have to keep some things close to our vest because we're still working on deals, still working on approvals, those sorts of things. But one other challenge was just lamenting over the fate of Alexander. Just personally,
If you guys have any content that don't ask, I'm not going to be so.
Spoilers. Yeah, sorry, I won't tell you that. I lamented over that for a long time.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about the structure of today's panel. And I'm going to be asking everybody but Albert some questions, because Alan was being saved for last. And then all goes around to that whole, they're trying to hold the secret. And so we're going to let Al do some videos a little bit later, and somebody else is going to be doing that for us. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions of the other three. And Daniel, we'll start off with you. You commented that bridge officers will have more history and voice. How will that be integrated into the experience like other MMOs?
Well, we've started to do this with the expansion, being able to add bridge officers who actually have a persona and a character. I think Tovan Ted with Romulans is our first good example of how we have evolved the way we look at bridge officers and how they can be part of your gameplay and part of your story. So moving forward, I think we are looking at ways to build characters that are part of your crew that have a voice and can be part of episodes and really form a relationship with you so that when you're making decisions as a captain, you have that Spock or that Bones character who's sort of in your ear saying, here's my opinion on that, and really helps you flesh out the fact that most decisions as a captain aren't cut and dry. You oftentimes have to make decisions that might make someone upset. And so being able to have those kind of character traits to bridge officers is something that we've been working on. And I think Tovan is a good, successful example of that. In addition, one of the things that we're looking at is ways to make our duty officers, which are the other sort of crew members of the crew, more active and a part of ship management. And that's some of the things that we were looking at for increasing sort of the functionality of our duty officer system in the future. Some of the stuff that we've kind of mentioned with Gateway, which is our web portal presence. And looking at what they've been able to do in our other team, everywhere with their professions, we're looking very closely at what we can do with both bridge officers and duty officers in that way.
Awesome. Thomas, the next question is going to ask for you. And it's going to be almost a two-parter, but I think we might start that up a little bit because it's so special. But you have one of the most challenging jobs during the legacy of this expansion with a complete overhaul of the user interface of the game. In the legacy, tell us about the process of designing the new LCARS-inspired user interface.
Sure, and for people who aren't quite familiar with the term user interface, that's just basically the way the windows look, kind of everything that kind of frames all the buttons and the decisions you make as a player. I handle the artistic side of that, and really the design process was pretty simple because it was just like, well, it should look like Star Trek. It needs to look like Hellcars. It needs to look like what it looked like on the show, and the UI that STO launched with, it was kind of glowy and a little more ornate than I was used to as a fan when I watch the shows. Or I'm also a big fan of the kind of the 90s were the heyday of Star Trek video games, and there were a lot of LCARS inspired UIs in those old games, and so I wanted to pay homage to that because those were really formative games for me growing up and as a Star Trek fan. So it was part of that. It was making sure that we redo the Klingon UI, that it's something that's a little bit easier on the eyes than the old bright red one was. And I wanted to pick out important things, make buttons and things more obvious, and also make sure that the Federation and the Klingon and the Romulan UI, that you could still use them, you could still change between characters and still know where each button was, and layouts didn't change, but also that you could see the accents and say, okay, this is definitely the Romulan UI, Klingon UI, Federation UI.
And people can actually choose from a selection of different colors or palettes that are inspired by multiple different species, correct?
Yeah, that was something that was a byproduct of, I don't want to get too technical, but we totally changed how the UI was put together and how it was built. So when we rebuilt it, that gave us some really cool features that we could add to let you customize the UI, so that if you're like me and you really like the bright, like the beige and pink classic TNG LCARS, you can use that. We're not going to force that on people. We have the standard cool blue LCARS that from STO previously, but then we added a bunch of other. We have a Voyager color palette, and then we made color palettes for Klingons and a Riemann color palette for our main characters too.
Great. The next question is for Brandon. Brandon, we have a long history.
Yes, we do.
You have a very inspiring story on how you got your job at Cryptic. Can you let people know how it was that you became the community manager for
Sure. So I've been a Star Trek fan since Voyager premiered. That's when I first sat down actually and watched Star Trek for the first time with my dad. He watched TNG before, but I couldn't get into it. I don't know why. I love space and everything, so I don't know why. But I've been coming to the conventions, and I have a passion for Star Trek. I'm like, I want to do this as my career. And the game was coming out, and I started a podcast with friends. We did that for a few months, stopped that for a little bit, and then started a new podcast, which is still going on today. Priority One, I think they're here. Yep. Worked really closely with the PR team at Cryptic to do interviews, and a position opened up, and I applied, and here I am. And I get asked a lot, people are like, I really want to get into Star Trek or into video games. I want to do that as my career. And really, it's never to give up on your dreams and to do things that surround yourself with your passions. So if you want to make video games, get into programming classes and make card games and board games and things like that. And if you want to get into something Star Trek related, start a column or a website or anything that surrounds yourself with your passion, and then you'll get there. Just don't give up.
I want to chime in real quick because you're not the only one who's able to do that. Thomas Moroni, you were a player, and you actually put together some UI of some mini games that we could put in the game, and we loved them so much we sent you a check and bought them, and then we hired you. And also, one of our other system designer, Jeremy Randall, is also from Stokes, another podcast for the show. So these guys just really owned it, and they inspired us to bring them on board. So you can reach your dreams. It's great. 3 great examples.
Yeah, it's worth noting. I mean, if you want to do something, you have to do it for free a lot before somebody's paid to do it. So you have to practice and get there. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, that you don't deserve to be paid for work, but repetition and practice and doing a volume of work is essential for actually.
Wait, we pay you now?
Well, I pay my landlord, so.
Well, you guys, I can't believe we're all ready to get a little time pressed, and we want to make sure that we get all the good news out. So I want to thank everybody, and I want to turn the mic over now to, her as Riza from Trek Radio. They've been very kind to do all of the tech stuff for us today. And Riza, why don't you come out so you can talk to Al and we can see some of the sneak peeks for season 8. Thank you very much. Well, my first question is, Al, Season 8 is set to be released by the end of the year, introducing a new space adventure zone and deadly adversary. What can you tell us about the new content and enemy NPC?
Okay, so right before we release Season 8, there's going to be, in September, we'll be releasing the featured episode that will kind of bridge the gap between the Legacy of Romulus and next season, Season 8. So once you finish that episode, this is some concept art of what you're going to be doing. When we put some of this online, I think we've put some of these screens, just one.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious to see if anyone can kind of guess what it is. Not you, Nick. Does anybody have any guess? I see one out there.
Is it the ball?
It is the ball. So yes, you were in these screens. That's kind of odd. There they are. So the Season 8 is going to be endgame content. It's going to be there'll be there'll be a couple 5-inch cube. There's going to be a ground cube. Now there's going to be, the big thing is this. We are putting you inside a Dyson sphere. So your content, You'll be exploring the inside of a brand new unknown Dyson sphere and going up against the VOP and understanding the mysteries of what's going on inside there. So there will not be any sector space in Season 8. It'll be a brand new space adventure zone, giant adventure zone, flying over the surface, the inside surface of the Dyson sphere with other starships, battling the VOP and other unknown aliens, and then beaming down to the surface of the Dyson sphere and exploring the mysteries there. Yeah, that's about it, right, Dan?
Yeah, I think the things that are most important is we're trying a few new things in Season 8. One of the things that's on the top of the list is a battle zone. And a battle zone for us is different than anything we've done before because it's bigger than an SDF. It's sort of bigger than what we've done on the Fair and Nukara. It is essentially a objective-based persistent map. So think of it as the VOP have controlled a section of the Dyson sphere, and you will have to go in with a couple of your bridge officers and up to 10 other players with their bridge officers, and you'll have to fight the VOP back. 20 now. 20
minutes, yeah, 20 men and 2 bridge officers.
So quite a huge battle going on with map objectives that are real-time persistent. So if one group takes part of the sphere, it'll be under your control for a certain amount of time. You'll get bonuses and benefits from that. But if everyone leaves and leaves that part of the zone unchecked, the VOP will retake it. So it's sort of a mini territory control battle zone going on within the sphere itself. So we're really excited about that. That's probably the thing we're working most on.
I'm not sure I don't think too much about it.
No, I have one last question before we go to the audience Q&A. It's been said that a featured episode series advancing the Iconian plot will be published before Season 8 releases. Can you give us any details?
Yeah, sure. That's that's kind of the bridge episode. It's kind of the episode will, in the story, take place at the end of the Romulan reputation arc. So there's like 5 story points and 5 missions that are part of the Romulan reputation arc. They'll be releasing this last one. You won't have to, when we release it as a featured episode, everybody can play it. There will be no level restriction during the featured time. And it is a story about the Iconian gateway that is found buried underneath New Romulus, the new planet, and what happens when players go through that and what they find. And what you find is what's going to, and what you discover is what's going to lead you to Season 8 and the Dyson Sphere, which is very far away. Do we want to say where it is?
No.
But it's very far away.
It's very far away.
You'll find out by next year.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I think that's about all we really want to say about the featured episode at this point. So that's going to be in September, is right?
Yep. September. End of September is when the featured episode is coming out. We're still very much at work on it. We've got some special surprises that we're still holding back on that we hope to be able to talk about in the near future. So keep an eye on the blogs because we're going to be announcing some cool things hopefully in the next couple months. And then again, Season 8 coming out. And then following that, goes straight into our winter event, which has been revamped for this year, and then straight into our 4th year anniversary. So 4 years of Star Trek Online, going really, really strong, and we'll have more featured episodes. If the player poll that we posted online is any indication, it looks like we're going to be doing some Voyager content in the next year. So we're really excited about that.
Excellent.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think it can be understated the massiveness of the inside of this Dyson Sphere when you can see some of these screenshots. Those pillars are coming out of the atmosphere, and so they're just these massive pillars, and you're going to be flying in like this ionosphere, coasting over the interior of the Dyson Sphere. Does everyone know what a Dyson Sphere is? Yeah, it's Ringworld has nothing on the Dyson Sphere. The Dyson Sphere is introduced. It's a theoretical concept by a scientist named Dyson, and they put it in TNG, and it's an artificial structure. The diameter of the orbit of the Earth around a star, So the internal surface area is about, was it like 2.8 billion Earths? So it's a massive, massive structure. You probably won't be able to see all of it, but we've got a big chunk of it which we'll be exploring. So it's a very new type of environment and gameplay, so we're very excited about it.
And if you've seen Halo, this is Spiro.
Yeah.
All right, well, we get the microphone out of the audience for Q&A. I'd like to ask the gentleman, do you have any announcements, or is there anywhere that our audience can come see you after the panel?
Yes, we are in the vendors room. We're hanging out at the G&T booth and at the Trek Radio Priority 1 and Stoke Radio booth where the Enterprise D Bridge is. Make sure you come by. We're giving out flyers. Yes. And it gives you instructions on how to get in game if you're not playing right now, as well as a code that you can redeem. And you'll get a Hololita duty officer to join your crew, as well as a special title for being here. So come talk to us. We'll also be tonight at 5 p.m. in the iBar. We're doing a casual Meet the Devs event. So come talk to us, ask questions. And we hope to see you. We hope to see you there. We can answer some questions now. We have about 15 minutes. So.
I want to say, I see you and a couple other Star Trek Online uniforms out here, custom made. Stand up if you're wearing a Star Trek Online uniform.
Very nice.
Nicely done. Bravo. Love it.
Well, first off, the SEO jacket has been a labor of love for quite a while, so. Version 1, version 2, so it's been like 4 years later. I actually have a few questions here, but hopefully I'm not going to take everyone's time. The first is, I noticed playing Champions Online, there's a customizable hideout. Is there any way of using something similar to create customizable internals to your ship? So where you can get like you can customize several different workloads or different sizes of your engineering or something like that, where you can custom build the inside of your ship.
We actually have a dev that is working on, his name is Andrew Ames, and he has promised us that in the next year he is going to take the Foundry editor, which allows you to create internal zones, and much like on Neverwinter, not so much on Chance, but on Neverwinter you can actually create your own 3D interiors, whether it's dungeons and stuff. But he's promised us he's going to be able to take that tech and put it over into Star Trek so that we can actually fully customize your entire starship interior or your starbase. So that's definitely something we've been talking about for a year, and hopefully it's going to happen as soon as it gets to it.
Okay, part 2 of that is usually when you buy a starship, you've got like, or not buy a starship, but this starship, you've got like 3 different versions of it that you can mix and match. Is there any idea of bringing like a full kit bashing where you can like build a complete custom ship from like any option, more or less?
No. We're very specific about that when we first started working on this game. That did we want to allow full customization or limit it? And I think it was important for us that other players could recognize what class of starship you were flying. There are many different models and skins and nacelles and different parts you can put on a Galaxy-class Enterprise, Galaxy-class starship, but it always looks like a Galaxy-class. And I think that's important for PvP and for bragging rights. If you can look like whatever you want, I just think it kind of ruins the immersion a little bit, and I think it doesn't sell the story. I know that you could go different ways as far as how people might feel about it, but it is a decision that we made. And frankly, the parts aren't really that interchangeable as far as the labor involved to make that happen. So we've got now over 240 playable ships in the game. That's not including the variants involved, as you mentioned. So making all those parts work with each other just really is impractical as well.
Or what I meant was more like the parts of the tactical ships, you're going to make a tactical roll, the parts of the engineering ship, make an engineering roll, the parts of the science ship, but it's probably not going to work either. And last quick question is, I see we've broken the big STFs down into the segments for the PvE queue. Is there any thoughts of bringing back, at least separately to where you play if you want to, the full storyline STFs?
Well, I think what we're going to start with is this new battle zone. If it works out, we're going to turn that into something that you can 20-man, and it's quite a big event. So that would be the first thing that we would do in terms of making a big STF-like event. But being able to string together all of the STFs into one big STF is something that we've talked about doing, but honestly, it's something that we might want to throw in private use.
Or what I meant was like, when the STFs are broken up, you kind of miss some of the story. Right? There's a big story behind Kittimer Report that's lost in the duel. So if you wanted to do like the original Kittimer Report from start to finish, like if you could go to where the plan was to do that instead of having to go to the
We actually have someone working on retrofitting a lot of that storyline right now.
Hey, my name's Will. I'm from Cascade Division. As some of you guys know, we lost our fleet earlier this year because of security issues, and we had to start from scratch, basically. I just saw that you guys are going to be implementing some of the new security features for the fleet, and I was wondering if you could give us some information or details on what that entails.
Yes, I'm very saddened about what happened to Caspian Fleet, and Terry Flynn is your fleet as well. Yes, we have built some new, pretty robust safeguards. They're in QA right now. See if I can just be brief about what exactly it means. It's going to mean that if you have, let's say you have 4 fleet leaders in your fleet. If one fleet leader, when you want to add another fleet leader, that fleet leader goes on probation for 2 weeks, so he has no powers, okay? Then if one fleet leader wants to kick another fleet leader, that fleet leader, or demote him exactly, not kick him, that guy becomes marked for demotion, but he stays there for 2 weeks, okay? Then any other fleet leader can rescue and remove that, okay? So you can't get someone who can come in and say, no, make me a fleet leader, and then immediately kill all the other fleet leaders. And there's always a 2-week cooling off period, and you can always just be rescued. The only important where it doesn't really work really well, you only have 2 fleet leaders, because I can come in and say, you're gone, and no one can rescue you. So if you want to have 1 fleet leader or 2 fleet leaders, that's the kind of fleet you want to be in. You have 3, you've got a good trinity, you're solid. It's pretty robust. Like I said, it's in QA, and we're really excited about it. So we shouldn't have any. Nothing is foolproof, but it's just pretty fool resistant at this point.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Good luck.
I think we actually just put it on Tribble on Thursday.
Is it? Great.
I think, yeah.
For this coming patch.
Yeah, so test it out and let us know.
I don't necessarily have a question, but
You can look closer to the mic.
I don't necessarily have a question,
Okay.
but I do want to say one thing that I've been having trouble with on my characters for XPO. I've been doing PvEs on some of my characters, 2 of them to be exact. It just keeps crashing over and over. And then just recently, one of my other characters, I'd be on the game for a while, on Rise Up, and then he'd crash for no reason. And then I'd get back up a minute later and crash again.
Yeah, this is the nature of PC gaming. I think one of the difficulties is every PC is different, and everything that we do is designed to work on a certain specification of the computer. So the best thing you can do is maybe come talk to Brandon and do that afterwards. We see if we can pick it up with customer service and figure out maybe what's going on and why you're crashing. And we're sorry. I mean, it's just every game I've ever played will crash at some point. And we'll see what we can do to figure out your issue so that we can get it fixed into the game and maybe resolve it for you, okay?
Brandon, can you chime in and say, give advice to the showman and anyone else if they're having significant problems like that? Where's the best way for them to get help? Because obviously everybody can't come and talk to us.
Sure, when it's a tech support issue like that, there is actually a tech support forum. Not on our forums, but for Perfect World. You can go there, and our tech support reps actually post there and try and answer them all as well. That's the best way. You can also file a tech support ticket, and it's a little bit different than customer service ticket because it goes to the tech support team, and they're able to pass along some ideas for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for playing.
Good luck.
I was mostly just curious about the thought process and do the Romulan political faction. Why did you choose that race over, I've had conversations about making a good Dominion or Cardassian's political faction. Why the Romulans?
Because they're awesome.
They are.
We actually did, we did go through that process of talking about who did we want to be playable? Was it going to be, and the big ones on the list, I mean, they're pretty obvious. Dominion, Cardassian, or, Cardassian and Dominion joined or separated, Romulan, good guys, or Romulan Tal Shiar. Did we want to go, or we talked about mirror universes of factions. We've talked about lots of different factions. We put a poll up, and everybody wanted Romulans. And you know what? I always wanted Romulans from the beginning too, so that was a double win. The main thing that when we picked Romulans, we were deciding, do we want what kind of Romulans? And I think that the two things kind of influenced us whether or not why we didn't do, say, play as a Tal Shiar. The one was kind of a metrics-driven answer, and that was, I know that a lot of people like to play Tal Shiar, but realistically, numbers don't say that people like to play bad guys. They just don't. And from experience seeing City of Heroes, we want City of Villains. We didn't get a lot of villains. We just didn't. People like to play the hero. People like to play Starfleet. And so we thought it'd be a much more interesting struggle to see the Republic go up and, struggle against the remains of the Tal Shiar. They're much more interesting bad guy than a playable, yes man that you're going to go around, doing all these horrible crimes. So the other thing that was driven by that is that we decided we wanted to keep this game as really a two-sided red versus blue game, and so introducing the Romulans allowed you to pick them. We didn't want to have three separate factions, Klingon, Federation, and Romulans all opposed to each other. Split your player base up way too much. So allowing Romulans to be their own faction, yet choose an ally. And so that way we can keep more people playing together. And you can say, hey, come in and play the Romulan. My content is awesome. I'm Federation. Join with us and we can play together. That's a lot better. But we do always talk about other possible playable factions. So, keep playing, we'll keep making it.
Thank you.
Hello guys, at Princess from Viper Group Omega. We just finished our Tier 5 survey, so we're really
Excellent job.
So I play a lot of different MMOs, and one of the uniqueness about
Why?
Well, the 4-star strength, so EverQuest, that kind of dates me.
Okay.
One of the cool things about those games is that there's kind of a skill-based effect of getting to do equipment. So if you're really good, you've got a really good team, you can go and do high-level events and get equipment you can kind of brag on, because not very many people can get that. Well, in STO, pretty much anybody can get anything with given the same amount of time. Is there any thought to adding in really tough encounters that would drop loot that you wouldn't have everybody around you have?
You want to get this, or you want to talk about it?
Well, I think Alan and I have different ideas on this, but I'll answer this one. A lot of it is free-to-play is different than a lot of other games, and I think one of the things that we look at is StarCraft is just a little bit more social, a little bit more casual from the get-go, because a lot of our players have never played a PC game or MMO before. We recognize that there are people at endgame who are used to raiding, used to doing dungeons. And I think in Season 8 you're going to see us sort of approach endgame with difficulty in mind and try to make things difficult. But one of the things that we are striving for is to really reward people for playing, not necessarily for being the best. And so simply making things based on time and saying if you continue to play the game, you'll be rewarded is, for the casual player, is much more approachable. And we're finding that it's much nicer to have a big group of people at the game than just a few people. And a lot of those other MMOs, we've seen some of their stats, only 10-15% of the player base is at endgame, 90% of our player base is at endgame. And that's nice to have everybody sort of on the same playing field. But we will be looking at some special rewards and some more challenging content, like the Battlegrounds and like the STS at the time.
Thank you.
We've got about 5 more minutes, so we got a couple questions.
Left, so if you could ask your questions just one per person, so we could try to get through the rest of the line, that'd be great.
I was
was wondering if you guys are ever going to implement kind of like a capturing system where if you beam onto an enemy ship or if you like send a shuttlecraft onto an enemy ship, that you'll be able, if you take over, you know, bridge, warp, engines, tactical, you'll be able to partially fly the ship and command it against an enemy fleet.
That'd be awesome. It's sort of like hijacking. You talk about piracy here. So I think we would love to find the right faction to do that with. I think that'll be kind of fun. But at the end of the day, you can't take someone's stuff because it's a little bit too brutal. But then being able to basically get a benefit for attacking another player and basically being able to get a copy of what ship they're flying. I think one of the fun ideas there is you could be a Klingon who can capture a Federation ship and you get to fly for a while, something like that.
Well, I was thinking like the Kazinti or like the Orions, they could capture like a freight and take its loot, and then after like an hour or something, they would have to either self-destruct it or give it up.
That's a great idea.
I think we can make missions like that where you could go and take over a ship and take the stuff from it and sure, we could do stuff like that. It's a great idea.
Next year you're going to see something that allows you to fly all kinds of different ships. So you're going to see something. That's right.
Tell me.
You
can't stop there.
Well, as long as we're talking about ships, I can't say that the way I play Star Trek is the way a mass majority play Star Trek.
I love it. Great. Play it however you want to.
I have one character. I've been playing since launch, and I have only one, and he's me, my digitalized version. I, however, on my wall don't have just one favorite Star Trek character. I have Star Trek ships. Are we ever going to see a time where I can launch a character and get a ship, and I get to keep that ship from beginning to end game? Because I know I was excited when I got to captain level, I got the D. But once I got past captain level, I had to give up the D because it's not as powerful as the next.
Well, we had AO. We would love to be able to do that. It's just some technology involved to make that happen. In the meantime, what we have done is you can fly whatever ship you want. Who just had a tier 5 fleet? Join his fleet, you can buy any of the retrofits and fly it at end game. So all the low-end ships you can buy is fleet retrofits. And so you can play any way you want. It wouldn't be the original ship, you could call it that ship, you can call it the name, and you could just call it the dash A. So we'll allow you to actually just play those same models. There's very few that we're missing that from the low end that you can't access from the fleet store. That hopefully should hold you off. Is there something that's missing from there, or you just really just want to be nostalgic and just always fly that Miranda from start to finish?
I'm a fan of the Equinox, and I would like to be able to fly the Equinox from Ensign all the way through the end. I mean, if we have things like the red matter capacitor that grows with you as you grow, I just wondered if we could do ships that we could grow with us as we grow.
We really have wanted for a long time to have a system where as you go up, because really what it is getting those slots, right? Because that's really what defines the ship, getting more bridge officer slots. So we'll try.
Is there anything that's pinned down you can share with us about a crafting system we went out?
I'm not touching that one, Dan. Go on.
Crafting system. Yes, we love the idea of introducing an improved crafting system. Crafting has sort of always been a underdeveloped feature in Star Trek Online. It's there, but it's not really as useful as it could be. And so one of the things that we're looking at, there's a couple different things. And part of it kind of dovetails to the last question about how can you get ships at higher tier. I sort of think of features like that as stuff that are really well designed for a future crafting system, being able to sort of craft additions to your ship or modify your ship. I think those are things that we might consider for endgame crafting. And also some of the other things we're looking at is how can we look at some of the success that we've had in the crafting system in Neverwhere, which uses professionals and uses the ability to craft offline, so being able to go onto the web or on your mobile device device and craft without having to be in the rich client, to be able to do that at any time. Those are things that we definitely want to do. And so we're looking at building up our gateway team. In fact, we just moved one of our designers over to that team so that we can start building our design documents of how we're going to take crafting to the next level of Star Trek and possibly even get it on the gateway as soon as we can.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us. Everybody volunteers to go around first.
Thank you, everybody. Don't forget to join us at 5 o'clock at the I-Bar, right? So if you need your question answered, and you have something else you want to talk about, just come up and just come right up and ask us. We'll be there.
Or, yeah, I was going to say, or you could stop by the Trek radio booth where I believe some of the devs will be hanging out about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Or even better, if you happen to be 21 years or older, you can join us at 5 o'clock in the I-Bar, where we're going to have you hanging with the devs kind of mixer. Come join us. We've got several devs who are really able to answer your questions, talk to you about the game, and let you just kind of hang and talk. And again, Daniel, Alan, Brandon, Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. And have a great day, everybody, and have a great week.